This World of Worship Fellowship. It's Monday. Today is the 6th of May, 2024. It is right now 23 minutes after 6 East African time. You know what it is. On Monday, we do a question and response session about all sorts of topics, not limited to faith, God, religion, prophecy, marriage, sex, relationships, everything you can think about, apart from politics, which we reserve for Thursday. Today is Monday again, so we have some questions we're going to attempt. If you have a question for us, feel free to send it to us through the person who shared this audio with you. Or if you got it on YouTube, the phone number is always displayed in the cover picture. So you feel free to send us a question and we'll be happy to record a response for you. Okay. Today we're going to start with Nelly. Nelly is one of our own here, though he's based in Ginger. Of course, yeah, but he had a question about this God. And the question is, if God is who exactly they describe him to be, brackets, all powerful, omni everything, why is it that we have to worship him, read his word and all that? Does he thrive on that? Is that what makes him powerful, in that when you don't worship him, he ceases to be God? Why is it that the ones, okay, this is another part, another question altogether. Why is it that the ones who are perceived as evil, wicked, and who don't believe in him are the ones with wealth, knowledge, and power? Okay, that is the second question, but we're going to start with this. The question that says, why do we basically need to worship this God? Does he have an ego? Does he thrive on our adoration, our praise, our begging, like we know some humans do? Okay. So Peter, do you want to take a stab at that? What makes this God powerful? Is it our praise and worship, or he is powerful?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Nshekanabo Salongo.
Oh, you're sorry, I'd forgotten.
Yeah, my little brother, my brother from another mother. I'm glad to hear from you once again. It's been quite very long. Yeah, Nelson is my little brother. I'm so glad to hear from him. So I would like to begin with the last question, and then I will end with the first question. The first question is, why is it that the ones perceived as evil who don't believe in him are the ones with wealth, knowledge, and power? Where is God and those who worship him in these positions? So I'll begin with, why is it that the ones perceived as evil? First and foremost, I like the good wording of the question, perceived as evil. Perceived as evil. So it is possible that we've perceived them as evil, yet they are not. We might have perceived them as wicked, yet they are not. We might have perceived them as those who do not believe, yet they believe. We might. And it's also important to understand who the we or who the perceivers are. All right? So I like that. I like the wording. That's number one. Number two, why is it that the ones perceived as evil, wicked, and who don't believe in him are the ones with wealth, knowledge, and power? Because knowledge, power, and wealth are not products of faith in God.
You can say that again.
Why is it that the ones perceived as evil, wicked, and those who don't believe in God are the ones with wealth, knowledge, and power? Of course, this question it is subject to research. It is subject to research. But apparently, what I can quickly go with, because I've said that because wealth, knowledge, and power are not products of faith in God. They are not. They are not products of faith in God. Why? Why do I say that? I will use the concept of blessing. When God created, or when God creates, God blesses. Where blesses here means abundance or presence of abundance for appropriate functioning or for functioning. And these blessings are manifest in principle. That is it. They're manifest in principle. So whosoever exploits or explores the principles, they reap. They reap. That is number one. Number two, it is also important, I think, in my humble opinion, it's also important to understand that we have two campaigners, we have two aspirants, we have two belief aspirants or belief contestants. The first is God, the second is Satan. They are competitors in a contest. They are aspirants in elections. So everyone is campaigning and everyone is preaching. So there is such a thing as frustrating principle. Okay, for example, we have been told that if you save and invest, you get rich. But we are in the world where you save and invest and do not get rich. Why? Because we have two preachers, and every preacher must prove their point. Only that one of the preachers, whom we have said is all powerful, is such a permissive one that his sovereignty allows the opponent to exercise his full force and power, which force and power goes against him, but because the guy is sovereign, he lets it be exercised to its fullest. Yeah? So we are in this world where all is not equal. We're in the world where doing right for right results is a mistake. In this world, we are in this world where doing the right thing with the purpose of obtaining the right thing is a mistake. In this unfortunate world, there is only one reason of doing right. And the reason is because it is the only right thing to do. Any other reason is at fault. So we're in the world where should you find any other reason of doing right other than the reason of doing right itself is at fault. Okay? So why is it that those who don't believe him, or those we perceive not to believe in him, are with wealth, knowledge, and power? Probably we have also misunderstood what it means to believe in him. Probably that can also be a factor. Do we believe in God to get well, to get knowledge, to get wealth? Probably that also needs investigation. Is the purpose of our faith in God or belief in God to flourish materially? Probably that would be there. Where is God and those who worship him in those positions? Like I've told you, we need to do a research, but you know, one of the things we also need to understand is that we are in a world where evil finds more publicity than good. So we know more of the successful ones whom we have perceived not to be believers. They are highly publicized. And those whom we have perceived to be believers probably are not in the public realm. They are not in the limelight. They are not in the follow spot. Why? Because it has been designed by the adversary, the devil, that which is to flourish is evil. But we all know that only sick people do not fall sick. All right? Sick people do not fall sick. It is only the healthy who fall sick. But you know, the publicity is of negativity. Negativity has found publicity throughout. We Christians have something called good news. But I want to tell you, good news has not been found publicized. Even when it is publicized, it has been named cheap grace. It has been called all sorts of names. Okay? You know, good news has been called cheap grace. You know, good news has been called disguised immorality. You know, and so that's one of the reasons. So where is God and those who worship him in those positions? They are there in those positions. Only that the follow spot is not on them. That's what I can say. But we can also say they are not there. We can also say that. Why? Because their kingdom is not of this world. Okay, we might say so. The good thing is that we have only perceived. The word
And
is
you only consoling yourself, Peter.
Sorry?
And you just consoling yourself.
Yeah, that is also possible. That is also possible because, or to walk in Scripture, if we are to walk in Scripture, this is not our kingdom, is it? It's not. But you know, we might be where we are. For example, I, the speaker, I am in a public university, and I impact lives here. So probably also our definitions of positions also matter. I, Peter Seruvide, I'm a Christian whose faith is in Christ and only Christ alone. I have a position here in a public university, the second largest public university in Uganda. I'm impacting lives and souls of young people here, both men and women. Okay, aren't I a living testimony then? I want to think I am. Oh, yes, I want to think I am. Probably, I don't know the definition of position, but this is one of the positions I am. Okay, I've stood before intellectuals, at least here. I've stood before intellectuals, at least here, not only students, but fellow intellectuals. And I've been accredited and I've impacted thought. So here I am. I worship God, Christ, the creator and the redeemer, and this is who I am, and this is where I am. So unless we think of positions to be greater positions, or we have standards of positions, we have a standard of position.
So,
All right.
Peter, can we go to the first question then?
Yeah, the third question. Yeah, the third question is, if God is who exactly they describe him to be, all-powerful and omni-everything, though he's not omni-everything, this omni, it has got a limit, not omni-everything. Why is it that we have to worship him, read his word, and all that? I want to first respond to that. First and foremost, we need to understand who the we is. If the we here refers to those whose faith is in him, then God does not thrive on what we do on him, but we thrive on what God does on us. So we worship God. We whose faith is in Christ worship God. We read his word, and we do all that so that we thrive in him, so that we continue relating with him. So we do it for ourselves. We don't do them for him. For before we were, God is. And after we are, God is. So we continue to worship. We continue in his word. We continue in praise, because that is the food of our spirit. Those are the carbohydrates, the proteins, those are the vitamins, those are the fibers on which we thrive. To keep us healthy, to keep ourselves healthy. So does he thrive on that? No, he does not.
Okay, thank you, Peter. So what I'm hearing is we do this for us, it's not for God.
Exactly. Okay? When we fellowship, right now we are fellowshipping for ourselves, because we depend on him. We are dependents. And that's the difference between we who are created and redeemed by him. We are dependents on him.
Okay. Thank you, Peter. Isaiah, can you talk now?
Can you hear me?
Just raise your voice a little bit.
Huh?
No, we can't hear you. I just thought you could be louder. Just keep talking. Just keep talking.
Okay. You see, I think, yes, yeah. I don't know whether it was yesterday at the fellowship or when I said that there are two important things in life.
And let me say them, because I was there. Number one, if God exists, there is need to understand him right, because when we get him wrong, we cannot get anything else right. Number one. Number two, to know who we are. Those are the two principles, if I remember them very well.
Yeah, exactly. So, Mr. Moderator, to respond to the question by Nsheka, I need us to think about those two principles. And I think they are very, very, very important. You can see even the overriding international debate between theism and atheism is around that question of, is there a God? If there is, who is he? You just can't run away from that argument. Science is struggling with it. Religion is struggling with it. Cultures are struggling with the same. So it's like we are stuck with the question of God. And I think it is very important for whoever is listening to take some time and think about these matters, think through their positions and understandings, because I still insist that once human beings get the idea, if it is an idea, of God wrong, they are likely to get many other things wrong. And if that being, that uncaused intelligible being that we have named God, does not exist, then life here has no purpose at all. So I think, Mr. Chairman, it is important that we think about these things, and it is one of the reasons as to why we are always here every Monday. We are always at the fellowship every Sunday. We are always here. We are always online, trying to think through these things. And our mode of thinking is add and drop. it is not only adding and adding and adding, or just dropping and dropping. It is add and drop. We are always editing our versions of understanding. We are always reviewing our positions to make sure that we try as much as we can to comprehend the much that we can on about the universe, first of all, and this being that we have addressed as God. So to respond to the question of Usheka again, I'd like to start with the first question, which says that if God is, what did the question say again? If God is omni.
If God is exactly who they describe him to be, all powerful, omni everything, why is it that we have to worship him, read his word, and all that? Does he thrive on that? Is that what makes him powerful? In that when you don't worship him, he ceases to be God?
You see, we don't worship God so that he can be. We worship who he is already. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does to me.
Yeah, sure. So it is therefore important for all worshippers all over the world to understand that the Christian God does not benefit from our worship in any way. In fact, I am sorry to say this, but let me put it across as usual. The Christian God does not need our worship.
Yeah?
Yes, he doesn't at all. At all. It is us who need that worship of him. Because we are the beneficiaries in this worship relationship between us and God. In other words, if you believe of this Christian God, your existence, your survival, and your thriving depends and relies on your worship relationship with this God. So you need worship 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 or 6 days of the year. So we don't worship God so that he can become. That wouldn't be worshiping. Because worshiping is a response, and in some areas, a reaction to phenomenon events, majestic establishments, and wonderful appearances. There must be greatness that inspires, or even sometimes influences, worship. If there is no greatness, then there is no worship inspired. It is for that matter that I say that we worship God because of who he already is, not because of who we want him to be. So our worship does not make God who he is not already. Now, that is not the Christian God, but I know of other gods who are made, motivated, branded. I know of many other gods who thrive on the worship of its followers. I know of many of such gods, but this is not the God of Christianity, the eternal being, the uncaused cause of everything. The God who created the universe has no need of human motivations, praises, and worship. There is no need. It is his followers that need this worship relationship for their benefit. And I think, moderator, that is very important to underscore. 1, 2, it matters that we understand the world of Shekinah as our world. It is our world, and I would like to paint a picture for all of us who are here. In our world, greatness is made largely by following. So something or someone is great because of the numbers following that person or that idea. That is how an idea becomes great. It is the greatness of democracy. Numbers, the greatness of numbers. A song, for instance, in the music world, a song does not necessarily need to be a good and right song by the standards of music and the laws and principles of music. For the song to be a hit and great, therefore, and be ranked by YouTube as Vevo, you know, so it has to attract numbers. So,
Views.
yes, views. So that is where the greatness of the song is. It is in views and viewership and listenership and likes, you know, favorite spotted. You see, that's where the greatness of the song is. You don't wake up and say that this song is does not cover all the laws of music. So the solfas cannot be. It has no solfas. It has no iTiS. The sound is not. You can't bring that kind of analysis on a great song that has made 3 million views from in just 2 hours. That's already a hit. It's a great song. Now watch. The followers and the listeners and the viewers of this song are the worship group to this song. So the greatness of this song comes from the numbers. Comes from the numbers. Now, I want to read you two verses. The first one is in Psalm chapter 8, verse 4. It says, let me start with verse 3. When I look at thy heavens, the work of thy fingers, the moon and the stars, which thou hast established. Now, those are the galaxies. Verse 4. What is man that you are mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you care for him? What the psalter here, or the psalmist, that is doing here is contrasting who God is and what he has done and what he has achieved already. And then in verse 4, he's asking, then what is man? What is man himself, or what are human beings, and what they can do in form of worship to this God already, who is this majestic and who has done all these wonders? So this psalter really, first of all, reminds us that the greatness of God does not come from man's worship. God doesn't need human beings' approval. No, he doesn't need it. Neither does he need their recommendation. No, he doesn't. Because what is man really? The difference between us and this God is that he can live without us. We can't live without him. That is number one. Number two, I normally tell people that to have 500 followers on my social media handle, and 99% of those are idiots. I would rather have 20 intelligent followers. Because you see, you can tell the kind of greatness that you have by the quality of those worshiping you. But really, when you look at us, let me speak for myself. Maybe some of you are greater than myself. But when you look at people like me, how can we even start contributing to the greatness of God? Drawing from what source? So there's nothing that we are contributing to this God, because we have no greatness in us. We really have no greatness. So democracy does not care about quality. It cares about quantity. And it calls that greatness. Look at all your icons. In Uganda, Jose Chameleone is a celebrity. Alien Skin is another celebrity with numbers, you know. And then when you go into your religions, the Catholic Church has got the biggest numbers. I think it is almost next to Islam. Then you go into these Pentecostal churches and you look at the pastors, and then the quality, but these pastors are so big because they have numbers. But when you look at the quality of these numbers, then you can tell really and say, what greatness are these people contributing to this God? And from what source are they drawing that greatness? So the psalter asks, what is man really? That if he worshipped God, God would benefit from the worship of this man. That is not the God that I worship. Finally, there's another text. Acts chapter 17, verse 24, and then I will leave you. I'll give one. Acts 17. Yes, verse 24. Acts 17:24 says, no, I should be 17:25 was in 8. I'm sorry. Can you hear me? I hope I'm not alone here.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, so verse 24 says, the God who made the world and everything in it, being Lord of heaven and earth, does not live in shrines made by man, nor is he served by human hands as though he needed anything, since he himself gives to all men life and breath and everything. So that is the Christian God, gentlemen and ladies. It is not us who contribute to his thrive. It is him who contributes to us. So the reason as to why we worship, we as Christians, we as worshiping Christians, is because it is our way of living. It is our way of surviving. It is our way of thriving. We worship through, we thrive through worship and worshiping the one true God. And I encourage all people listening to me, you need to find a fellowship, because the Bible says in Hebrews chapter 10, verse 20, 25, okay? Chapter 10, verse 25, I'm looking for that verse here, because I need to be, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near. The Bible encourages us, all of us, to have a fellowship, to always meet and worship this God. I have seen many Christians who no longer fellowship, who no longer worship, to whom prayer is meaningless and has no use in their Christian life, to whom fellowshipping has no use in their Christian life or their religious life, and it is very absurd. So we need to find a fellowship. We need to make time for God and meet as brothers and sisters and sing and celebrate and praise and worship and study the word of God, because through all that, we are the beneficiaries. We are the beneficiaries. May God bless you.
Okay, there's a second part, second question really, about why the wicked prosper, why all the power, the money is in the hands of those who don't even believe. If you look at the top 10 richest people in the world, I think 9 are atheists, Yeah, briefly.
Yeah, it is because God does not have, is not a discriminator, number one. Number two, you told me briefly, and I feel like
just take it away.
but look at it from this angle. That complaint it was first made by David in the Bible. I think it is Psalms chapter 77, where he said that God, why are the wicked blessed more than we, your worshippers? Because David, like many cultic believers today, believed that they worshipped God for materialism. And I think that is very absurd. We don't worship God for material gain. That's not the reason as why we worship God and we believe God. Because God does not make anyone rich. Wealth and all riches are in this world for everyone, believers and non-believers. That's what the Bible says, that it rains on all believers and non-believers. It shines on non-believers and all believers. Both believers and non-believers have 24 hours in a day, 7 days of a week, 365 days a year. So it is I mean, there's an equilibrium in the divine providence to this world. So to ask a question, why are those who are rich non-believers, is to assume that believers believed God to be rich. No. You don't go to church to be rich. I have said these things again and again. I think this is for the 1,000th times, and I'll keep saying them. That there is no one, not even in the Bible, that God ever made rich. At least as far as my Bible reading and my Bible study is concerned, I don't know of any person that God gave wealth, as in handing over, and he gave that wealth to that individual because that individual believed in him. God does not reward our faith in him with materialistic gain and wealth. No, he doesn't. God has provided. Everyone who is rich did not get his wealth from heaven. No, he has gotten it from the same world where we are. So there are many factors that can explain the wealth of each and every individual that we are saying that they are wealthy and they are rich. There are many factors. And there are many factors as well for each and every person who is poor, believers or non-believers. There are many poor non-believers, poverty-stricken atheists or pagans or non-believers. There are many. And there are many poor, poverty-stricken believers in whatever they call God. There are many. And so are many rich believers in God and many rich non-believers in God. So whether the Forbes list, that magazine that rates the richest people in the world, has on its list has many non-believers, that is not a sign that if you become a non-believer, you'll become as rich as they are. No, there are other factors. In fact, them not believing God has nothing to do with their wealth. It has totally nothing to do with their wealth. So if you assume that let me drop God and get rich, woe unto you. But also if you wrongly assume that let me get God and get rich, you are wrong. I keep telling these Pentecostals, you cannot go to church and pray for wealth. They don't pray for wealth. They work. You work your ass off to garner the much wealth that you want. There are disciplines to adapt and to learn. There are habits to drop. There are ideologies to unlearn and drop. If you're going to get this and this money, or this and this material wealth. So moderator, I guess the question of Sheikh again comes from the misrepresentation of God by many really, in fact not many, all religions. Because all religions are teaching that you believe God to be wealthy. It is wrong. I have heard many people using Abraham as an example of the prosperity gossip. I don't call it the gospel because it is a gossip. That God blessed Abraham with wealth. No, God met Abraham when he was a rich man. And according to Genesis chapter 20, we know how Abraham made his money and his wealth. Jacob was also a rich man. But we know how Jacob garnered all his wealth. Now, these are the examples that they use. Isaac was rich because he was the heir of the rich man. So if you're not the son of Abraham, you can't pray for a blessing of Isaac. We keep telling people these things. And finally, Mr. Chairman, I always teach and tell people that you were created for 2 W's. The first one, you were created to worship God. Because that's why your existence is. The second one, you were created to work. You are here to work. In fact, I keep telling people that even when you go into the new world, what many people call heaven, we are going to work. Work will never stop. Majority of people here think that working is a curse. No, working is not a curse. It is a blessing. This is why in fact, we are made for such an environment. We must cultivate this land. And cultivating this land means agriculture, means technology, means minerals, means many things. Because everything that we have here, we have grown it out of the ground. And hence we are going to do the same, even in the second life, for those who believe in the second life, which we term as eternal life. We will be working. We will be producing and reproducing. Because
and innovating.
And innovating. I have ever told you in one of my preachings that there is a reason why God knew that man was supposed to sit down and he didn't create a chair. Instead of creating a chair, God created a tree. Why did God create a tree? So that man can come up with a chair. You have a head. But I see people going to church to pray for wealth. It is very absurd. It's very unfortunate. I don't know which demons, which principality, and which devil is misleading people, going to all these fellowships and these churches, praying for prosperity. God prosper me. Prosper you how? What are the structures that you've put in place that you want God to prosper? God does not prosper emptiness. God prospers a structure.
Channels.
He prospers channels. You create those channels and then pray. And when you pray, work on those channels again, work harder. Because the more you become more innovative, more creative, more hardworking, the more even the universe works towards your goal. The more you are lazy, the more the universe works against you. It is very, you don't, okay, gentlemen and ladies, you do not need God, okay, to prosper. Why? Because God has already provided everything. Look, Nigeria has the oil coming from the ground. The Arab countries have the oil coming from where?
The same ground.
Uganda has minerals like gold worth 1 billion Ugandan shillings every day. Did you know that? Every day, Uganda collects gold from the ground worth 1 billion. So, and it has also the so-called oil. There is water. There is, gentlemen, God has put all the wealth in the world. It is our greed that most of us are poor. In fact, the existence of the rich and poor demonstrates our problem. So Chairman, let Nsheka and all others. I know maybe Nsheka is even asking for others because Nsheka is one of us. He knows more. You let all those who think like that understand that the non-believers in God are not wealthy and rich because they are non-believers. And let not the rich believers assume that they are rich because they are believers. No, they are rich because they are hardworking. They are rich because of other factors. And some of those factors could be like those of Jacob, stealing, or like that of
Uncle got.
Like that of Abraham, lying and blackmailing. Now we know why the United States, that country of the Bob, have got all the billionaires almost. Why? Because the billionaires of the United States are made on the Wall Street. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Okay, thank you. I think we've done justice to this question. It was actually 3-in-1. That's why it has taken us a bit of time, but I think we've done justice. Nelson or Nelly, if you, of course, have a follow-up question, feel free to send it to us and we'll attempt. The second question we're going to attempt is from Peter, the usual suspect. I've posted it in the chat as well. Kato, I'm going to need you here. Can you talk? It's a question about education. Peter is a lecturer at university. So obviously,
I'm following.
have you read the question? Peter is a lecturer, so obviously this question is from the education world. But I think this is an important question. It goes: artificial intelligence does what had been traditionally understood as only humans could do. For instance, reasoning, decision-making, language use, solving complex tasks, and such like. How can we teach and evaluate learners amidst access to AI? How may I credibly ascertain, for example, that learners' ability to reason, comprehend, or solve problems, yet they have access to AI? Who am I assessing? So the lecturer is wondering, is he assessing AI or the students who have access to AI? So, Kato, would you want to attempt that? I know you're a technologist, that's why I'm putting you on the spot.
Thank you, moderator. Good evening, everyone. I believe now, before this AI thing, already we had a knowledge repository, so we could Google things up and you try to make sense. I think when a teacher gives maybe like an exercise and is trying to assess how his or her students have gotten the concepts that he has taught, he's looking for some things. So there are most of the questions, even before we had these models that oversimplify things, would be Googleable. You would put them in Google and you get some form of an answer, though it would be half-baked, but you'd kind of get it. Or if it is like homework, like for instance, and in science, there were like sites like Cheng, Cheng.com, where you could pay, or even there was some ways to even copy directly without paying. So being in such time frame where you're at school and they give you a test and you find you can copy it from maybe Google, from Cheng, it is a privilege because it allows you to cheat and it makes it like easier for a student. But now when we shift to now how AI is, you now go to WhatsApp, you access Meta AI and it can give you some well-informed answer for any question that you give. I think now assessing students should shift to assessing someone's maybe understanding, not the narration, not like the Google bit. What should be accessed should be an understanding of someone, of an understanding of a student, and also in real time, not like trying to tell them, what you prepare like this, and maybe at this time you'll be having like a test or what. They should be abrupt. They should be always told to maybe to like these technologies, smartphones and whatnot. Yeah, that's what I can say. But it is a good thing if you're learning at this point in time, because it helps you just pass. But there are also consequences of delivering, because you might pass as maybe as an engineer when you're using AI, when in actual sense you don't know, you don't fully grasp the concepts in the field. where you've been given, maybe where you've been credited to be scoring highly. That's what I can say about that. I don't know if I've encompassed the what you are kind of expecting, and or if I've kind of tackled the question. I submit.
Well, Peter will tell us if you have helped him. Thank you. Okay, Kato is basically saying let's change the way we examine. Because information has always been there. Previously, you could Google and then get all these answers. But now, you see, Google has another thing. Now, you can just type in the same question from the lecturer, and it will actually write an article with citations and quotations and things like that. So this is a whole different game. Now, let me hear from the others. Bob, can you talk?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, now I don't know if I got the question right, but it has to do with AI and how we can probably teach the students. The first thing I must say is that as the saying always goes, that if you don't change will change you, or something like that. If you want to, those who want to stay in the old tradition will always lag behind. These are the times, we are living in the AI era. There's no doubt about that. And there's no going back. I remember we used to, when the calculators had just been introduced, there was this emphasis of, don't use a calculator, please calculate with your head. But eventually, you know, most of these gadgets and this technology always comes to simplify life. Instead of someone spending 6 hours going into Google and searching articles and summarizing them, AI does it in 5 minutes or 3 minutes, and you have all the information you need. It's all about simplifying and making work either such that you have time to do other things, to innovate. So I think we need to embrace the AI era. And
But
those
Bob,
who are
in the case of a student, what else are they doing besides learning or studying? So what else are they saving their time for? By asking AI to do homework and coursework.
So just as the previous speaker has indicated, here there are many ways of grading a student. So AI will write for you the article, it will summarize for you, and maybe you hand in or whatever. But that's why I think even Uganda is trying to move away from the exam, answer, how do you call it? These issues of teaching to pass exams is the norm in Uganda. You find schools like, you know, Chitende, even King's College, Budo, even the traditional schools we know, even the current schools we know, they all teach, many of them teach students to pass exams. They teach them answers and they know how to answer. So, but the knowledge of these individuals to understand behind the scenes of what they're answering is what is important. So now the approach for teachers, for lecturers, for schools is more on the practical bit. Yes, the theory remains, because generally, you know the theory, you need to know the reason behind something. But then now there's the practical bit. Here they call them presentations. They call students to come and make presentations, whether in groups or as an individual, to gauge your understanding of the material which you are handing in an assignment. So when you're presenting, they fire you questions and you're able to answer back. That's how you are graded. So students will still learn, but the approach has to be more emphasized of the understanding bit more than what they reproduce on a paper via AI, or answering questions on as written, because they cram and they don't know the real science or theory, real reason behind. So for me, that would be a more bigger approach. Maybe 70% of the marks given to students should be more assessed via presentation, you know, formal presentation to the group, to the class, or practicals, hands-on, and then 30% goes to that bit of understanding or regurgitating on a paper or an assignment. I submit.
Thank you, Bob. Who else here can say something? Becky, are you able to talk? We're talking about AI in schools. Peter asked a question about students using AI. It's basically doing all the work for them. So when a teacher or a lecturer is assessing the student, are they assessing AI or the student themselves? That's the question. Okay.
My network is not good, but if you don't hear me, you switch me off. There are software that can trace whether you use AI to write your work or you copied someone without paraphrasing, like just copying and pasting. I think since we have AI now and it's not going away, just like Bob said, we are at a point going to do away with paper and do soft copies where you can easily take input the students' work into a software and you see how much AI they've used, how much plagiarism they have, and grade them that way. There's a solution, I think, for everything. So you should not worry us.
Becky, there's also another solution whereby after AI giving you the answers, you put it in another software which may sort of switches it up, changes it to sort of hide it from those detectors.
Which paraphrases?
Yes. So there's also a solution for that one.
Those paraphrasing things are not accurate. At least that one I know.
Oh,
they're
you're
not very accurate.
AI,
No, because I've used all of those things. Now I know. You I think most likely you cannot completely escape when you've used AI or just copied and pasted your work. You will still get caught if they use software to detect what you've used in your work. So that's what I think. I submit.
Thank you, Becky. Isaiah. Education and AI.
Yeah, it is.
Peter,
It is human beings who educate AI, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so it is incumbent on the same human beings to work with AI, examine it, judge it, and then give grades. In other words, all practicing academicians like my brother Serubide must have something better, bigger, and different to offer that AI cannot. If you don't, then you quit that profession and go and try another. Am I clear, Mr. Moderator?
Anna.
Yes. Because seriously, bw'obanga ebintu by'ogenda okuwa abayizi basobola okubisanga ku Google. Kati okola ki mu kibiina? What are you doing in that class? If what you're giving to the students, they can access it on Google. For instance, if the assignment that you gave to your class, your students can use AI and give you answers from AI and you are satisfied, what are you doing? What is your use there? You have no use at all. Those students don't need you. They need the AI. They need their laptops, their phones, and their tabs.
Yeah, he needs to generate for the students the question.
You see, so if what you have to offer, AI can offer, which is no problem, because me, I expect my teacher to use AI, okay? And then give me all that that I need, and then give me the freedom that I need. Go and use all the AI that I can. Then when I come back with the assignment that is finished, I expect my instructor, my lecturer, my teacher to use their head to critique me with my AI and point out how I'm right and how I'm wrong, where I'm right and where I'm wrong. That is the modern teacher. That is the modern instructor. But if you cannot do that, then what are you doing? For instance, let me give you 2 examples. One, if you are a pastor and a Bible teacher, and all your followers, all your class has Bibles and they are reading it, and what they are seeing in their Bible is what you are also seeing. So do they need you? Tell me whether they need you. They don't. No. So if what you can get from, this is what we do at iTiS, we make sure that what you can,
But they need Musumba. They need the Musumba.
For what?
Because just as the other, was it a eunuch or whoever was reading something, but they were not understanding. They were saying, he was asked, you've read, but do you understand what that means? The guy is just reading. So people may have Bibles and reading texts, but when they don't understand,
you missed the example. Bob, you missed the example. It is very important that we listen. What the congregation is seeing is what the pastor or the man of God is seeing. Now, that is not the same example as that of Philip and the eunuch. Today we have many church leaders that offer what people can get elsewhere. And you ask a question, why? Because look here, we preachers and teachers in church, when we are saying whatever we are saying, people are Googling all whatever we are saying. Chairman, you have a hand.
Yes, Becky.
Chairman, base. Njagala okuddamu Musumba nti AI might not update itself the way a physical teacher can. In education, there is always new updates, new changes, change in theories, which I think AI might not pick up as fast as a physical teacher, probably who took part in an experiment and has different supplied for a long time. Tutors and teachers are very relevant apart from AI.
Your network is not
dynamic update as fast as information is passed on to humans. Dabadde mpulira kye ŋŋambye oba nkiddemu buto.
AI cannot update itself like teachers can.
In summary, that is what I'm saying in summary.
Anti kakati Becky kisinza ne AI gy'okozesa. Abasinga obungi bakozesa AI ey'obwereere. Then abakozesa ey'okusasulira a little bit advanced. But bottom line, oba moderator, you have another hand. Oba omuntu akozesa AI eri advanced eri paid for nene ey'obwereere, omusomesa ateekwa okubeera ahead. Ateekwa okubeera n'ekintu ekipya n'amaaso amalala agalaba AI bye yeetalaba. Kubanga abasomesa be bafeedinga AI, abantu be bafeedinga AI. Problem gye nyina neno generation, bakola ekintu ne bamala ne bakisinza ng'ate be bakikoze. This is idol worship. It is idol worship. Bo bennyini beba feedinga AI eri ejjudde n'ebitabo byaffe ne statement zaffe n'amaloboozi gaffe ne videos byajjudde byerina. Kati batuma ne tugamba nti AI amagezi gerina mazibu. Kati ani musiru?
Nelson, is this our Nelly? Nelson, Nelly, is that you?
Yes, it's me. It's me, Jethro. Thank you.
Yes, your hand is up.
So the thing is, AI chitufa abantu bebaji feeding an information. That is why it's called machine learning. Machine learning enkola gyekolamu si ye muntu bw'akolamu. It gathers information on a speed that a human cannot do. Kyova olaba erina ability gathering information on different subjects eziri totally divergent nga tezikwatagana naye nga yo erina ability okusunsula because it analyzes its own data gwe baba bagiwadde nti ono agenda wano oli agenda wali. Omuntu ekitali kyangu ku muntu in a shortest period of time. So AI nga yo ojja kwesanga katugambe omusomesa asomesa history nga yo AI eyina ebitabo bya history n'omusomesa byatalabangako ebimu naye nga yo bagifeedinga ne data oyo. So it's easy for a machine that has been set up to analyze that information and give you an answer. I think AI is good for education. Bw'oba osobola okukola research ng'ogenda obuuza abantu ku by'oyagala okumanya, katugeze nti bakuwadde ekibuuzo n'ogenda mu bantu n'obuuza, it's the same as using AI. So it is on the onus of the lecturer oba omusomesa okwe-equipinga naye nti asobola okudda mu AI ne answers z'abaana ezo okumanya nti ono yakozeseza AI to what percentage. Oli ajja ku copying pasting, omulala afune AI kyegamba akizze mu ndowooza ye akiteeke ku lupapula. So nga era priest bw'abadde agamba nti omusomesa bw'oba tolina ability eyo in this generation, in this age of technology, in this age of artificial intelligence, then tukuweeyo emyaka mitono nnyo okuba nga oli irrelevant. Thank you. I submit.
Kale so. Isaiah bakuwadde information. Abantu babiri.
Neyanziza nnyo ekyo kye tugamba kubanga problem gye tulina moderator be bantu okukola ekintu ate ne bakifuula Katonda. It is idol worship. Bateekwa okugirekerawo kyekisooka. Ekyokubiri, winding up. Kyokubiri, bw'oba tosobola kuinterpretinga. In fact, bw'oba tosobola abaana abayina computer nga tosobola kubongerako, then toli mu kusomesa. Kambawe experience. Bwe nali ku university, omusomesa wange wa Greek bamuyita Bernard Ombori yatuwa ekibuuzo, yasetinga ekibuuzo ekya Greek. Kati n'agamba nti bananga ekibuuzo kyankya, ne tugamba nti otyo. Kanaga naye ekibuuzo kino kyanjawulo. Njagala musitule ebitabo byammwe byonna bye mubadde muwandiikamu notes. Mujje nabyo. Abalina computer mujje nazo. Nga ziriko ne internet mujje nazo. Abalina ebitabo ebira textbooks ng'osobola okukikozesa mu kibuuzo mujje nabyo, muyingire ebibuuzo nabyo. era ffenna ne tubisitula omujulizi wange Kalebu abamanyi Kalebu muli mubuuza oyo nasoma naye mu kibiina kyekimu ffenna ne tubisitula ne tubireeta mu kibuuzo kiraasi y'abantu ndowooza 130 ne tubireeta mu bibuuzo abantu abaakola ekibuuzo obulungi ku 130 nga buli omu yaleese buli kintu kyasobola okukozesa baaliko ndowooza 13 saagala kubagamba muno mu 13 nali musaalimu ekyo nkyogedde makuba manyi nanki awamu ne ebbi badde bagenda kumbuukira gwe wali luddawa nze saalimu nalimu abo abaagwa naye nga naleese n'ebyokukoppa byonna kati nategedde kakati chairman olaba omusajja oyo kye yakola yatuwa ekifaananyi kya AI bwe kiba ng'abaana basobola okuba nga balina AI ng'ebayamba okuyita musajja gwe mukazi gwe resign kuba teweetaagisa
akalimu nga okatadde ku layini taata
genda ewammwe ebukomero olime kisajja gwe bwe kiba nga tosobola kwanalayizinga ansa za AI abaana n'obongerayo ku stage endala kisajja gwe dde ewammwe ebukomero
tufudde
omulimu gw'omusomesa in this generation kwe kwongerayo abantu in fact sina musomesa yekayeka ali ku university oba ali ku high school omuntu yenna ayina ayimira mu maaso g'abantu okwogera oteekwa okuba ng'ogenda kuwa alternative view ng'ate empya kati kampuni lwaki ekuwa omulimu mwe gye mukola lwaki kampuni ekuwa omulimu ng'ebintu by'okola bw'obeera ng'oli accountant nga waliwo system ebikola juzi omuwanika waffe wa iTiS Mr. Lugoloobi alina software akola buli kimu eggulo ku fellowship yabadde amutuyigiriza kakati bwe kiba nga waliwo software asobola okukola ebyo ebintu bya accounting gwe nga gwe accountant with all these existing softwares AI lwaki tukwetaaga kyekibuuzo Mr. Moderator kye tubuuza bwe kiba nga waliwo mashini ezizimba ezikuba omwiko ne zikuba n'ekipande simanyi mwazirabako robots ezo
nazirabako
kati omuzimbi alina okutubuulira tumwetaaza ki abazimbi bateekwa okuvaayo n'ekintu nga tubeetaaga ku site nga ne ziri robot weeziri kyova olaba abasumba kati ennaku zino kye baakola bino ebyamagezi baabivaamu kati babagamba bugambi nti mukama yandaze omanyi
mukama ye AI waabwe
waliwo bali betwalabanga ku Emerald nga asooka mu kasenga onalabayo ka YouTube ka TDJX agenda n'akabawa
kakati osobola okujja n'obulya samuni ya TDJX ng'ogibulira Bob yagistreaminze edda live kakati abasumba kye basalawo okukola kwe kubagamba nti ngenda mu ggulu mu wiiki ngendayo emirundi 3 kakati ekyo n'okikebera ku AI ki bino baabiddukamu bino baabiregamu ba Isaiah abagumye omutwe bino tebabisobola era kasita mugamba tubikule Bayibuli tule kyegamba ngadduka omusumba waffe senga emutundwe anyumya bunyumya mboozi omusajja ali awo emutundu anyumya emboozi nga bwe baakuloga ng'oliko omuzimu balina n'ekitabo ky'emizimu kati emizimu ogenda gikebera otya mu AI olya gambye oliko kalondoozi oyo muwugula oyo muweebwa oyo abasajja ekibakoze ebintu bino kwe kukakasa nti temubikebera naye ekyo Brenda kyoyita obutamanya. Mbonye ayina abantu abasabira ewa Mbonye ayina ebbaluwa entono nnyo, ayina diploma, abasigadde degree masters. N'omuga nti musajja wasoma, omusajja
n'aba PhD sebo.
ayina n'aba PhD Mbonye. N'omuga musajja oli wa PhD oyinza otya okuba ng'okiisinga engatto ya Mbonye. Bino omusajja yaŋŋambye bya mwoyo. Olaba embaga.
Yeekwese olwo yeekwese.
Oluye amaze okwekweka, ye Mbonye yakibala nti bwe nnaagenda mu byamagezi kompyuta tezigenda kunzikiriza. This is an information age. Tebijja kunzikiriza, abantu bajja kunjabya. Kanneekweka eno. Kati ffe ba Isaiah ffe tutalina magezi era ffe tetuli basumba.
Temusomesa bya mwoyo, bo basomesa bya
kati ffe abasomesa bino ebyamagezi tetusomesa bya mwoyo era ezzala we riri ku ffe tolirabangako. Naye yogera ku Mbonye w'abantu, oyogere ku Bulaza Makabayi, oyogere ku Kakando ow'Otuzzi ne Makabayi ow'Otuzzi. Kati problemu gye tulina bannange.
Mbukakando ow'Otuzzi.
Oli muganda munno neyanza moderator omukono gugwo.
Kale wulira.
Beki wamalisa omukono ayagala komawo oba gwe guli ogwedde.
Ssebo nina kye ŋŋamba.
Gamba tuwulire.
Education, is it about a teacher feeding the student, or is it also about creating intrigue and curiosity and sparking teachers and the students, both with the teacher and the fellow students? Because nze ndaba twekubira
Beki network yo mbi.
nnyo nti nno
Addemu restarting, singa oddamu
feed
Network yo mbi eringa bali abasumba bagenda
the
mu.
student. I think AI conversation and discussions
ate tatuwulira nno.
kati nkomyewo
Restart
kati yogera.
mbawulidde bana.
Aveeko addeko.
Kye ŋŋamba nveeko nzireko kale kanveeko nzireko oba nsigale.
Gendera awo tuwulire.
Yogera awo twali tukuwulira.
Kale kyembuuza is education about a teacher feeding student, having meaningful discussion between teachers and the students? Because nze ndowooza with AI there is no platform for meaningful discussion between maybe the teacher and the student, because that is how ideas are created. Bw'ogamba nti no teachers are no longer needed, I think that is because they are not bringing something, they're not teaching students something new. But I think AI also cannot spark meaningful discussions in a classroom setting, probably, or online or something like that, which I think is very important.
I think you interfaced y'obwereere ge mazima naye nga you can actually make a meaningful discussion with AI.
Nancha oddamu kibuuzo oba olina ekibuuzo ekirala nawe?
mbadde nina kyenjagala ogamba Pastor White kubyayogedde.
Wewe oyogera ng'oli mu lutuwa.
Ndi mukwogera mu
Yogera tulabe.
Kati why this I was having a discussion with God, and I want to say it loud so my pastor can also hear it. Like, for instance, the issue of the culture, gods, and that whole API religion thing, which of course disturbs a lot of people. I don't know, we have, God told us that we should not have the spirit of fear. But somehow, I feel, I don't know if it applies to all of you, I feel scared, I fear to confront that matter, to go to learn about it, to get to understand these things. That's not to mean that I want to check what I'm doing. However, I don't like being ignorant, and I know also God doesn't want me to be ignorant. So I am like, I want to learn about this whole thing, this whole dynamic, how like this whole dynamic, but I am scared. It feels like betrayal. I don't know. It feels like betrayal, and it feels like betrayal or something. I don't know if my pastor can help me to alleviate that in my desire. That's my ignorance. Because I kind of I think that even those people who are being lied to, it's because they do not know what they are actually dealing with, because they are ignorant, and then they just take a spiritual issues, and then they are told probably what is half truth, and then they end up falling for it because they have experienced most of the symptoms they said. So I would love for my pastor to help me alleviate that fear.
I hope he has heard you, Kubanga. Your audio is terrible, Brenda.
To be
I was
honest,
struggling to hear you.
nange simuwulidde. Maybe can she write? Tusigaza eddakiika naye maama eddakiika naziwedde singa atuwandiikidde buwandiikizi.
Okay, byempulidde bitu nabadde agamba nti abantu bwe badde ogamba it's really ignorance. Fumbwa bali bwe badde ogamba be bagamba emizimu simanyi ne bakola biki abo kyempuliddemu.
Naye nga kati awo ng'ayagala tuliveetinga ki?
Awo simanyi.
Kuba kati ayo ye problem. So
nange mbadde nsaba kubuuza
singa atuwandiikidde watuwandiikira tujja.
Mbadde nsaba kubuuza neyanza nnyo bannange okunnyanukula neyanzeege. Mbadde nsaba kubuuza kaakati mu mbeera bw'eti bwe ŋŋamba nti mmanyi mba ndi ki oba mba nkola ki mu mbeera eno eya AI bwe ŋŋamba nti mmanyi oba bwe tugamba nti oyo amanyi tuba tugambye eki?
Tuba tugamba nti olina obusobozi obunyumya n'amagezi agaliwo n'oteekawo okutegeera okulala okusukka oba okwawukana oba okulala kw'okwo okuliwo kye tuba tugamba ssebo.
Muganda wange eddimu nga mututisse eddene.
Anti oyagala kugamba nti omanyi.
Okumanya kukufuukidde engolo kati olwo.
Ekyo kiri mu kyati banaye obudde bugenda tumuyambe.
Naye leka tusooke tuwunzike kino n'ekyannankya tukikwateko ssebo. Kino kikulu. Kwegamba University bw'egamba muno ekuwadde PhD eba ekugamba nti oli Doctor of Philosophy kyeba ekugamba. Eba ekugamba nti olina obusobozi obudoktaringa existing philosophy. Okudoktaringa philosophy ali existent kwe kuba ng'olina obusobozi obunyumya ne philosophy aliwo ne mutegeeragana. Eyo stage 1. Stage 2 bwe mumala okunyumya n'oteeka philosophy omulala atabaddeewo ku mmeeza. oba n'oteeka philosophy ajjawo ono aliwo kati aba AI ne baapdatinga nga bakozesa gwe with the facts and reasons. Naye PhD si kubanga waddamu bibuuzo bannange muleme bannange kutumanyiira nze saasoma naye ntegeera sijja kubakkiriza neyanza moderator tusomere ekibuuzo kya Nankya wamma.
Ekibuuzo kya Nankya abadde agamba abeera guilty bw'agenda okusoma ku bano bakatonda ba ATR bw'obadde oyogerako.
Yes.
Kale okwongera ku magezi ge n'okumanya agenda n'asoma ku bano ba ATR gods balubaala awo.
Yes.
Yagamba oluusi awulira guilty ng'asoma ku bantu abo. So kyagala okumanya alleviating atya guilty eyo oba should she even be learning about those ATR gods? Kigasa ki omuntu okumanya balubaale n'obamalayo bonna bonna? Saidi eno ina ne katonda okuliga.
Nandimusomedde ebyawandiikibwa nga bisatu naye kansomeko kimu ekirala ndikimusomera kuba oyo ntera nnyo okubeera naye. Ekisooka kigamba nti abantu bange bazikiridde olw'okubula okumanya. Naye bwe kiba kiwunzika kigamba nti kubanga ogaanye okumanya nange ndikugaana. Akola bulungi okusoma ku bakatonda abalala. Era buli muntu yenna yenna yandibadde atwala obudde n'asoma ku bakatonda abalala bonna n'alema kwesiba ku katonda omu. Kubanga bw'atyo bw'ajja okutegeera nti ono katonda gw'alina ye mutuufu. Naye oyinza okubeera wano ku katonda gw'olina nga ne katonda gw'olina naye mufu tomunyenyangako tosomanga ku balala. Abayudaaya baabeera mu ezo emboozi yawe 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 Yesu n'ajja. Bwe yajja battamutte ne basigaza yawe yawe ne guno okujja bakyali ku yawe. Kukuba tebaatwala mutawaana na kusoma ku yawe 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 byagamba.
Yesu bwe yajja
battamutte. Ne guno gujjwa bali mukola bomu kugenda kuba ab'e Gaza mu linnya lya yawe. Ate n'ab'e Gaza nabo bajja ne bakuba eno bomu mu linnya lya Allah. Ekibatawaanya butatwala budde butatwala budde kusoma ku bakatonda baabwe gwe ne weekunika bwekunisibwa. iTiS tugamba abantu buli kaseera enzikiriza yo giteeke ku trial bw'eneesigala ng'eyimiridde yeyo. Bw'eneegwa si yeyo katozeeyo mu katale onoonye katonda naye ali mu kunoonya muyinza osisinkana. Number 1. Number 2, olina obusobozi obusoma ku bakatonda abalala n'otabeera confused.
Awazibu muganda
kuba moderator nali wano ne mbagamba nze Isaiah taasoma nnyo nabagamba nti kikulu nnyo abantu okufuna training nga tebannaba kukozesa Google. Waliwo omuntu ajjukira nga nkyogera
ate mulundi gumwe esatu.
Nsaba bulijjo wano abantu nti omuntu nga tannaba kukozesa Google afune ka training namba 1. Namba 2, omuntu nze ndi musomi wa bitabo naye nakizuula nti omuntu nga tannaba kusoma bitabo yeetaagayo ka koosi bamuyigirize osoma otya ekitabo. Abantu beetaagayo ka koosi okozesa otya Google. Kakati mwannyinaze Brenda ye bw'aba asoma ku bano bakatonda abeera mu structure ki ng'asoma. Kubanga problemu gye tulina nti bw'okwata essimu oba n'okwata kompyuta n'ogiteeka mu buli mukono gwa buli muntu muvaamu content wa TikTok. Mulaba abantu bebeekola ku TikTok. Eyo ye smartphone eri mu mikono gy'omuntu nga smartphone eri smarter than the owner.
Ng'oyogera nga atalina maanyi.
Oyogera nga atalina maanyi. Mmwe omutawaana oguli wano ye Google eri mu mikono gy'abantu nga bbe emitwe gyabwe gya nudo.
Bas.
A noodle head is using Google. Kakati ekyawandiikibwa ekyokubiri kye kino mwannyinaze. kiri mu bikola by'abatume essula 8 Bob yakitusomedde. By'osoma kwawoba Katonda obitegeera. Omusajja n'addamu nti nnyinza ntya wabula nga waliwo annyambako. Olabye? Bye musoma ku Google, bye musoma mu AI mubitegeera. Bannange, twetaaga obuyambi. Abantu bafene bagamba, Professor Gundi yagamba, waliwo research egamba, ng'olina obusobozi gwe obukola interpretation ku research. Obulina, omanyi principles of interpreting a research, and omanyi principles of referencing a research in an argument. Ozimanyi. Bwe tubyogera bayiza bayina amalala. Waliwo akabiina ka iTiS. Kale sebo mubeere bulungi.
Osula bulungi bukulu AI.
Owakabiina.
Anaye mwebale kujja. Thank you for joining. I will see you on Thursday. Thursday tubeera mu politics, economics n'ebirala. Monday ya theology. Oboyira ekibuuzo mpeereza inbox, kiteeke mu question bank, and then we shall attempt it. Otherwise, thank you and God bless. See you Thursday.
Jethro nyina ekibuuzo kyange kye nabuuza naye sinnafuna answer.
Iwa kyonna jangu mu inbox yange mbulire.
Ebbi oli otya ebbi wange?
Ngendera muli naawe.